Hello everyone, welcome to Chess Comic, where we learn, laugh, and checkmate. For today's video, we're going to learn the Danish Gambit. Actually, we're not only going to learn the Danish Gambit, we're going to go over a game that was played by two random dudes. I think they're pretty much advanced in a way that their attacking skills and their tactical skills, including the mating nets that has been done in this game, was actually great. And you're going to learn a lot from it. So without further ado, let's start. White played pawn to e4 and black played pawn to e5. Normally, we play knight to f3, right? But white decided, okay, I will give my knight a day off and let me play pawn to d4 for my second move. Black took, and then decided to play pawn to c3. This is the famous Danish Gambit. Black took, and the normal continuation is to capture back. But white decided to play bishop to c4, which is also logical on the part of the lines of the Danish Gambit, because the main purpose is to develop the piece, the minor pieces particularly, and then castle the king as fast as possible. Here black played knight to f6, and white played knight to f. But let me just try to go back. I just want to show you guys a certain trap in this line, where white decided to capture back to develop this knight on the queen side and protects the pawn on e4. And then remember, we always want to castle early, so let's pretend black's plan is to castle early by just simply moving the bishop out. So let's say bishop to e7, just a random move. White's threat is actually pawn to e5. Bam. Now look at this knight. It's trapped. Not trap, but it has no good square. Can't go to e4 because there's a knight, right? Obviously, if the knight tries to go to d5, it will be an overkill. So the only safe square for this knight is to go back, to go home. And after white plays queen to d5, there is an immediate attack or threat on f7. And the only way to stop it is for black to give up its knight by moving it to h6. Black castles. White captures the bishop. And then black can already castle. Black cannot take back because of the checkmate on f7. Black castles and white will just safely move the bishop back. And it's clear that white is winning because it's up by a full knight. So let's try to go back to what happened to the game. So here white decided to play knight f3, telling black, the pawn is all yours, take it. And white just simply take it. Or simply took it. Here, white has lost 3 pawns, the E, D, and C, if you guys realize, right? But white doesn't care. White just castled, threatening to play rook e1 and pinning the knight. And black realized the threat, that's why the knight retreated back to b6. And not only retreating, it's also trying to capture the white bishop. But you know what? White doesn't care. So I can tell that in this game, white went cuckoo. Oh, not just simple cuckoo, okay? But super cuckoo, all out cuckoo, crazy cuckoo. Because white just moved his knight to c3, telling black, hey, that's just a bishop. I got another one. So let me give it to you. Take it. And of course, black didn't waste time and just simply took the bishop. But black didn't forget to say, thank you for your bishop, mister, as a sign of a nice gesture. And white gave a check on e1. So I think this is the most logical move for white, to compensate and to have an attack. Black played bishop to e7 to block, and here the bishop is pinned. What do we normally do when there's a pin piece? Of course, we do PP on a PP. Not the stinky one, but putting more pressure on the pin piece. But to be honest, if I was playing for black, I will not really be alarmed with this, because I'll play knight c6, which was also played in the game. Um, Developing the knight and protecting the bishop at the same time. And then white, of course, has nothing else to do except to put more pressure, right? So white played bishop to g5. Now there are how many attackers? 1, 2, and 3. While black has 1, 2. Well, let's say the king is also part of uh defending part of the bishop, but it will just be a bad thing for black if it's white's turn to move. So black played pawn to f6 to protect or kick the bishop out, right? And to protect his bishop and kick the opponent's bishop out, the white bishop. And here, when your piece is under attack, like your bishop, you normally protect or run away. I mean, run away to put it to safety. But in this case, protecting the bishop doesn't make sense because it's being attacked by a pawn. Even though you're able to capture back, you will lose another material counterpoints because the pawn is or has less value than the bishop. But why didn't even flinch? Why didn't move the bishop out? Why play rook to c1? Which is kind of funny because white is saying, take my bishop, I take your knight. But to be honest, the correct move for black here is just to simply take the white bishop. Because after white takes the black knight, the king can just castle and be safe. I think you guys will agree with me. And to tell you the truth, and it's a fact, that black is up by 5 points. And it's just, what, without compensation. It's a clear win for black. But of course, this game was played crazy. So black decided to play pawn to b5. Let me protect my knight. And now, since the knight has been protected and the bishop is under attack, if you are white, you will most likely move the bishop back into safety, right? But black went cuckoo, like what I said. It was all out cuckoo. Maybe you can take a guess on what white played. Give yourself 5 seconds. If you haven't thought of this crazy move, rook takes c4, it means you haven't gone cuckoo yet. Okay, so white sacrifices his rook for a knight, in which black didn't waste time. Black took back and won the white rook, and of course, as a sign of good gesture, black said, thank you, mister, for your rook. And again, so I think this is the third time that the bishop is under attack. Obviously, here, okay, let me give you guys an advice when it comes to attacking. So here white has less points now. If white decided to move the bishop back anywhere, it will be too late. It will be too delayed because white has lost a major piece, which is a rook. So white has white needs to be giving up a continuous attack, regardless if it's a good sacrifice or a bad sacrifice. Or we could say even though it's a bad sacrifice, white needs to find every possible compensation to win the game. So it's actually what white did. He gave up the knight. So he's trying to make black go confused or probably go dizzy. He's like, hey, you don't want to capture my bishop? Then let me give you my knight. And here, probably, black really went dizzy. He's like, okay, you've been giving me your bishop for a while, so let me take it. And this was actually the wrong move in this game. The worst move that black can play in this game. Because aside from giving up the knight, the main threat of white is to open up the queen's diagonal to give a check. So this is what happened to the game. or in the game. If black played king to f8, there will be queen f7 mate. So it's like logically forced to block with the pawn. And here, white played another crazy move. Knight to f6. Bang. Sacrificing his knight. So here, black is somewhat forced to capture the knight. Because if the king goes to f8, there'll be a checkmate in one. But you see how nice these three pieces work in harmony? So actually, if a queen is given a helper, it can already deliver a checkmate. But if the queen has two helpers working in harmony, it can be considered as an overkill. That's a theory. Okay, so let's go back. The bishop took a knight, and white played knight takes g6, a nice discovered attack. And here there are a few continuations for black actually. So in the game, queen e7 was played, but let's go over every possible line. Okay, if black decided to play knight e7, white will just simply take the rook on h8. King is forced to go to f8, and then followed by queen f7 mate. Nice, right? Now, let's go back. If black decided to play bishop e7, perhaps it will be the same logic. Knight takes h8, knight e5 will even work. And king goes to f8 and followed by queen f7 mate. Now the question is, coach, what if the king runs away to f7? Okay, if the king runs away to f7, white will not take the rook, but instead will play knight e5 check. The king is somewhat forced to go to the e file. Then if the king goes to the e file, e7 or e6, doesn't really matter. Let's just play one. There will be knight takes c6, a discovered attack, and then white will be able to win the black queen. And white's completely winning because the black king is even endangered, right? But what if the king goes to a different square? So if the king goes to f8 or g8, it will be met by queen f7 checkmate. It's pretty clear, right? But now, what if the king goes to g7? This is going to be a forced checkmate in two. There will be queen f7, king h6, and then followed by knight to g4, checkmate. Now, it's time for us to go to what really happened in the game. So black decided to play queen e7, in which white took bam. And then the bishop took back here. There's actually a shorter mate. The shorter mate is to play knight takes h8. And then if the king goes to f8, it will be queen f7. If the king goes to d8, it will be knight f7. This is checkmate 4. King goes to e8, knight d6. King goes to f8, queen f7. King goes to d8, it will be met by queen e8, checkmate. So this is a shorter checkmate. But white decided to finish it in a fancy fashion by moving the knight to e5. Again, if the king goes to f8, there'll be queen f7 mate. So black played king to d8. And in this position, white can already force a smother mate in 4, in which we have learned this in our previous videos, the smother mate, right? So white played knight f7, bam! King e8 is forced, then followed by knight d6, a double attack. Obviously, if the king goes to f8, there'll be queen f7 mate again, because the knight's protecting it. So the king is forced, or went to d8, and then followed by your queen sacrifice on e8. Rook is forced to take, and then knight f7 is smothered the mate. Oh, did I say it right? Should it be the smothered mate or smothered to mate? Regardless, I also went crazy because of this game. So please bear with me. Alright, so I hope you guys learned something from this crazy video, especially when it comes to attacking an uncastled king, giving up pieces just to make sure your attack will work. Right? Okay. If you guys learned and had fun, please don't forget to like and share the good chess vibe. And until next time, bye bye for now.